Revealed. 30 heartwarming hours that transformed my life after being told, "You re too old, Dad." Tom's heart raced as the words echoed in his mind, leaving a bitter taste in his mouth. "You're too old, Dad." Emily's voice cut through him like a knife, sharp and unyielding. He had just lost his job at the factory, a tough blow for the proud factory worker of over 20 years, and now he felt the weight of failure crashing down. The cozy, tree-lined streets of Maplewood seemed to mock him with memories of laughter and shared dreams. What kind of father was he if he couldn't even provide for his family? With his chest tightening, Tom felt invisible. It was as if the world had moved past him. But in that moment of despair, something flickered within him, igniting a desperate determination. He wouldn't let Emily's words define him. Over the next 30 hours, he would prove her wrong, rediscovering the spark that had dimmed under the weight of responsibility. He raced to the local job fair the next day, the smell of fresh coffee mingling with nervous energy in the air. Surrounding him were faces marked with hope and uncertainty, some young, some old, but all seeking the same elusive thing. As he handed out resumes, he met a retired veteran, a silver-haired man whose presence radiated warmth. "You've got grit, son," the man said, placing a firm hand on Tom's shoulder. "Don't let age fool you. Let me show you the ropes." In that moment, Tom realized he wasn't too old. He was just getting started. While the vintage tools from a friendly neighbor beckoned him into the world of handyman work, a kind high school teacher guided him to online courses designed for adults. As he dove into lessons on marketing and entrepreneurship, his nervous energy morphed into passion. Hope bubbled inside him like a warm wave, breaking through the walls he had erected around his dreams. But then, conflict arose when a potential job interview clashed with the eagerly awaited father-daughter dance at Emily's school. He could feel the excitement buzzing in the air as she talked about the dance, the dresses, the music, the cherished memories. And yet, here he stood, yearning for a chance at renewal, balancing ambition with family loyalty. As the day approached, Tom sensed a rift growing between them. Emily's disappointment was sharper than any cut he had endured. It struck at the core of his heart. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tom mingled with other families at the park, sharing their stories of struggle and triumph. His heart melted as they laughed, cried, and collaborated. Something remarkable began to unfold. He felt himself transforming from a wounded man into an unintentional leader. Together, they planned to attend the dance as a united front, and Tom found his own purpose merging with the community's collective spirit. But as he paced his small living room that night, time ticking ominously, he faced an unbearable question. Would he forsake his ambition to mend the rift with Emily, or chase a job that might promise financial stability? Tears pricked his eyes, burdened by heartache and the weight of obligation. He knew he needed to choose, but how could he betray his dreams while seeking to inspire her? The hourglass of decisions dwindled to a few precious grains. Would he reclaim his family, or risk it all for the promise of a brighter future? The sun crept over the horizon, spilling light into Tom's small kitchen. He sat at the table, a plate of toast untouched before him. The words he had rehearsed in front of the mirror now felt heavy in the air. It was time. He glanced at the clock. The dance started in just a few hours, while the potential job interview loomed like a thundercloud. He could already hear Emily's laughter, soft and sweet, filling the house like a melody he desperately wanted to cling to. He picked up his phone, his fingers hovering over the screen. Could he postpone the interview? The thought flickered like a candle's flame. He feared the answer. Suddenly, the front door opened, and Emily came bounding in, her eyes sparkling, hair tied back in a way that framed her face perfectly. She wore a dress that danced around her knees, the fabric swirling like the excitement in her spirit. "Dad," she squealed, throwing her arms around him, the warmth of her embrace igniting a flicker of hope. "I can't wait for tonight." Tom's heart swelled, but underneath it all, a knot grew tighter. Emily, sweetheart, he began, his voice trembling. How can we practice our dance? Ms. Eleanor taught me some cool moves. She wiggled, full of energy and anticipation, pulling him up from his chair. Sure, we can do that, he managed, hiding his inner turmoil. For the next few minutes, they laughed and twirled. Emily's joy filled the room, just as he had always dreamed. But all the while, his mind wandered. The job, the future, the looming possibility of failure. He didn't want to be a letdown, yet here was his little girl looking up at him, delight radiant in her wide eyes. Dad, you okay? She asked, pausing mid-dance. There was a genuine concern written on her face that twisted his heart. Yeah, honey, I'm good. His smile felt strained, but he pushed through. They did a few more moves, and for a fleeting moment, the worries evaporated. It was just him and his daughter, lost in their own world. But as the sun dipped lower, the dance eventually faded into a stillness. Emily's laughter quieted, and she looked at him hopefully. Can we still go to the dance, Dad? It's going to be so much fun. I want to show you off to my friends. Tom's heart shattered into pieces at her words. The image of her happy face clashed harshly with the pressure to secure a job that hung over him like a dark cloud. Emily, there's something I need to tell you. Before he could finish, the doorbell rang. His heart raced again, this time for a completely different reason. Tom shot her a look, nerves churning. Stay here for a sec, okay? He opened the door to find the friendly neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, holding freshly baked cookies. Thought you might need these, she said, her smile warm and inviting. Tom stood there, cookie aroma wafting through the air. Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins, they smell great. As they chatted, Tom's ears tuned back to the dance preparations with Emily. He glanced at the clock again. Time was slipping through his fingers. What was he going to do? He excused himself from the door, the cookies in hand, guilt washing over him. He sat back down with Emily, who was spinning around, lost in her happy thoughts. Dad, I'm really excited. He opened his mouth to share his decision, unsure of how his words might crush her spirit. But at that moment, looking into her bright eyes, he saw the future. For a second, the job didn't seem to matter. The dance was everything. It was family, laughter, love, everything he thought he was sacrificing. Emily, he began, heart pounding. Maybe we can make this work. Maybe. Just then, the phone buzzed, cutting through the electric tension in the room. Was it the call that would change everything? Would he finally step into the future he craved, or would tonight be the moment that defined his family? He reached for the phone, fingers trembling, and as he did, a question echoed in his mind. What would he choose? Would he let Emily down, or reclaim their bond? Tom's heart raced as he picked up the phone. Anxiety spiked in him, clouding his thoughts. The buzzing continued, persistent and demanding. He glanced at Emily, who was still caught in her whirlwind of excitement, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within her father. With a shaky breath, he swiped the screen. A simple number flashed before him. It was the call he had been waiting for, yet it felt like a tightrope walk between regret and hope. Hello, he answered, his voice barely a whisper. Hi, is this Tom? We received your application for the position. The voice on the other end flowed smoothly, but each word jabbed at him like a sharp needle. He tried to focus, but his attention kept drifting to Emily, the daughter who had made this moment feel heavy with family ties. Thank you for considering me, he managed to reply, forcing the words out through the haze. All he could think about was Emily's eager face, the joy that would erupt if he chose to attend the dance. Tom, we'd like to invite you for an interview, the voice continued. We're impressed by your experience. The details blurred together, but the weight of their expectations settled on him. As they spoke, the laughter of children outside floated through the open window, and it tugged at something deep within him. Can we reschedule? The words burst out before he could stop them. It was as if a dam had broken. He could hear the surprise in the interviewer's tone, but his resolve struck firm. Sir, I'm sorry, but we have a strict timeline. The opportunity is now. He hung up, breathless. He had done it. He had taken a leap, but with his heart now racing from regret. What had he just sacrificed? Tom looked back at Emily, who had settled down and was now watching him, her expression shifting from excitement to concern. Dad, what happened? He couldn't find the words. Instead, he pulled her close, heart heavy with uncertainty. I have to focus on what matters, he said, even as his insides twisted with doubt. Emily's eyes widened. The dance. Can we still go? Of course, sweetheart. We are still going, he said, forcing a smile past the guilt. She squealed, jumping up and down, and in that moment, he felt the bright spark of her joy pull him back from the brink. But as the minutes moved forward, he couldn't shake the claustrophobic feeling in his chest. Choosing his daughter over a career, was it the right choice? Or was he just setting himself up for another disappointment? Okay, let us practice one more time before the dance. I want to impress Mom, Emily said, her enthusiasm infectious. He nodded and followed her lead. They moved together in a goofy, syncopated rhythm, the music of laughter filling the otherwise empty house. He started to forget his concerns, caught up in her delight, until the thought clawed its way back. What if I never get a job? What if I fail to provide? Emily twirled again and pulled him back toward the living room. Dance with me, Dad. He couldn't help but think how much sweeter moments like this were than any corporate victory. They danced together, and for a while, the world outside faded away. But still, the darkness lingered, ominous and imposing. As the final notes of their practice faded, an unsettling thought crept in. Would he ever be enough? The doorbell chimed again, this time like a harbinger of fate. His heart dropped. Would this summon more choices to make, or maybe consequences of the ones already decided? Stay here, Em, he said before stepping toward the door, bracing himself for whatever awaited him. As he opened the door, the light spilling in harshly illuminated everything, pressing in around him. The face of the visitor brought with it a new surge of anxiety that twisted at Tom's insides. Hey, Tom. I heard about your interview. He blinked, frozen as the implications of those words settled in. What would this interaction bring? Would it challenge his decisions, or illuminate a hidden path? And most importantly, was he ready to face the truth of his choices? Hey, Tom. I heard about your interview. The voice belonged to Alex, his old friend and former coworker. Tom's pulse quickened at the sight of him, the friendly familiarity contrasting sharply with the storm brewing inside him. Suddenly, the room felt small, every breath filled with unspoken thoughts and weighty decisions. Alex, Tom managed to say, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. What brings you by? Just thought I'd check in on you. Emily's big dance is coming up, right? Alex's enthusiasm was infectious, yet it felt like a blockage in Tom's throat. He nodded, his thoughts a chaotic swirl. Did he really want to discuss his choices? Yeah, she's really looking forward to it, he replied, glancing back at Emily, who was now peeking out from behind the couch, her curiosity clear as day. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed her infectious smile spreading, almost grounding him in this chaos. That's great. You know, it's important for dads to be involved in these moments. Children grow up fast, Alex said, leaning against the doorframe, oblivious to Tom's inner turmoil. Yeah, they do, Tom echoed, his words feeling heavy and empty. But things are complicated right now. Complicated? What do you mean? Alex stepped inside, his brow furrowing. I heard you let the interview go. That's a bold move. Are you sure it's the right call? The question hung in the air like a fragile glass ornament, ready to shatter if he touched it. Tom's chest tightened, memories of long nights and dwindling hopes flooding back. It's just I needed to focus on Emily, you know? She needs me. Of course, but what about your needs? Alex asked gently, a hint of concern in his voice. You have to think about your future, too. It's a tough world out there. Tom swallowed, feeling the weight of the truth in Alex's words. They had always been friends who could talk about anything, yet right now, glaring at his own reflection in Alex's eyes felt unbearable. I want to be there for her, he mumbled, but I also want to be able to provide for her. Look, I get it. We all make sacrifices for our kids, Alex said, crossing his arms. But don't forget about yourself in the process. You still have dreams too, Tom. Blood rushed to Tom's ears as self-doubt washed over him like a cold wave. Alex was right, but could he really chase those dreams again? Could he dare to believe there was still room for him? Emily wandered over and tugged at Tom's shirt. Dad, can we go over my dance moves now? She looked up with bright eyes, bubbling over with excitement, completely oblivious to the tension in the room. Sure, Em, he replied, kneeling to her level. Let us show Alex what you've got. Her joy was infectious, and as he lost himself in Emily's infectious enthusiasm, the doubts crept back in, lurking in the corner of his mind. Could he really juggle this new world of parenting and personal aspirations? Would taking a chance on his own happiness make him fail as a father? As they practiced her dance steps, a part of him felt lighter, almost free, spinning around in the warmth of laughter and hope. But another part of him remained heavy with uncertainty, burdened by the nagging thought that looming choices had not yet revealed their consequences. Wow, Emily, you're amazing. Alex clapped, joining in their practice, bringing forth more laughter. For a moment, the darkness retreated. But as the music played on and their silliness filled the air, Tom couldn't escape the question that pierced through his thoughts. How long could he live in this bubble of happiness before reality knocked again? Just then, the door creaked open, and another figure stepped in, a man he had never expected to see. His pulse quickened. Who was this new visitor, and how would he fit into the choices Tom was trying to navigate? Tom, I need to talk to you, the stranger said, all seriousness. The room froze. Tom felt chills imagining another twist in his already tangled path. What now? A fresh wave of anxiety flooded him. Could this be the conversation that might change everything? Tom's heart raced as he tried to process the stranger's unexpected presence. The man stood tall, wearing a dark coat that seemed to absorb the light around him. His face was almost familiar, yet Tom couldn't place him. Who are you? Tom managed to ask, his voice steady despite the disarray in his mind. He shifted his gaze to Alex, silently seeking validation. Tom, this is Mark, Alex interjected, sensing the tension. We used to work together back in the day. I didn't know you guys knew each other. Mark nodded slowly, his intense gaze locked onto Tom. I'm here because I think we need to discuss something important. Emily, still giggling from her dance practice, skipped over to Tom and took his hand. She looked at Mark, her innocence illuminating the room. Who are you? She asked with a head-tilted curiosity. Mark's expression softened for just a moment, flashing a hint of a smile. Just a friend of your dad's who has something to share. Tom felt the weight of responsibility settle over him. Can we talk later? It's not the best time. Mark shook his head, his demeanor shifting back to seriousness. I think it needs to be now. It's about an opportunity one believe might interest you. An opportunity? Tom repeated, confusion mixing with a flicker of hope. He waved a hand, gesturing toward Emily. I can't just leave her right now. Emily can join us, Mark replied, his tone unwavering. What I have to say involves your future. It could be the chance you've been waiting for. What do you mean? Tom's voice edged higher, laced with both anxiety and intrigue. I've turned down opportunities. I'm focused on Emily. That's my priority. Exactly, Mark countered, taking a step closer, his voice lower, almost conspiratorial. But what if I told you this opportunity not only helps you, but it could set you up for her future, too? The air in the room shifted as Tom processed the implications. Could this really lead him back to a life he thought he had put on hold? He looked at Emily, who was twirling and chattering away, lost in her childlike joy, and felt his heart soar and sink all at once. What kind of opportunity are we talking about? Tom asked, his voice barely a whisper. Something in your field, something that aligns with what you've always wanted. You know your talent deserves to shine, right? I've seen firsthand what you can do, and it's more than just providing. It's about fulfilling your potential, Mark explained, his intensity unwavering. The room felt both suffocating and exhilarating. Tom's mind raced with possibilities. What if this was an escape from his doubts? What if chasing this dream meant risking what he had? Is this real? Tom asked, searching Mark's face for sincerity. What's the catch? No catch. Just a chance, Mark replied, a hint of determination in his voice. But I can't make this decision for you. Dad, can we keep dancing? Emily interrupted, her energy unwavering. I don't want to stop. With a soft smile, Tom squeezed her hand. She had become his anchor, but as the storm raged inside him, he felt torn. Could he truly dance between two worlds? He glanced back at Mark, meeting his earnest gaze. Those hints of hope and expectation swirled in the silence of the room. What would he decide? Fine, Tom said, almost defiantly, let us hear it. But as the words left his mouth, he noticed a flicker of something in Mark's eyes, something that hinted the opportunity would not just challenge him, but could alter everything he knew about being a father, a provider, and a man chasing his dreams. With his pulse quickening, deeper questions surfaced. Was he really ready to step back into that world? And what would it mean for Emily? Just then, a loud crash came from the kitchen, shattering the moment. "Dad!" Emily exclaimed, rushing toward the sound. Tom's heart raced anew. Reality had not simply knocked, it had barged in. What now? Was this the moment everything began to unravel, or would it lead to a new path? He followed Emily, heart pounding, ready to face whatever awaited him there. Tom burst into the kitchen, his heart thudding like a bass drum in his chest. The sight before him was chaotic cereal scattered across the floor, small flecks of milk splattered on the counter, and a few toppled chairs. But more distressing was Emily, kneeling on the ground, her big brown eyes glistening with tears. "Dad, I'm okay," she cried, her voice high and shaky. With trembling hands, she brushed the cereal away, trying to collect herself. Relief washed over Tom, but the anxiety didn't let up. He kneeled beside her, gently cupping her cheek in his hand. "Sweetheart, what happened? Are you hurt?" She shook her head, her lower lip quivering. "I just wanted to make a snack. I thought maybe, if I helped, you wouldn't be so tired." The edges of his heart softened, and a warm rush of gratitude surged through him. "You don't have to cook to help me. You help me just by being you." He hugged her tightly, feeling the warmth of her small frame against his. As Emily found her footing, she glanced back at the mess, frowning. "I was trying to surprise you. I wanted to do the pancake thing like in the movies, but then it all went wrong." "They don't always show the mess that comes with surprises in the movies, do they?" Tom smiled, hoping to lighten the mood. He took a deep breath, then stood, brushing off his knees. "Let us clean this up together, okay? Then maybe we can dance again." They worked side by side, the atmosphere shifting from chaos to teamwork. As they cleared the floor, Emily chatted about her day, how she learned a new dance move, and how she wanted to be a superstar. Her rhythm filled the space, anchoring Tom amid uncertainty. Once the kitchen was restored to order and Emily's spirits were high again, Tom's thoughts wandered back to Mark. Would he really dive back into that world? And if he did, how would it affect his time with Emily? "Dad, can we dance now?" Emily piped up, her eyes sparkling with eagerness, pulling him from his reverie. "All right, let us do it." As the music filled the air, he watched her break into a little dance, her joy infectious. She was carefree, lost in the music, moving to the beat with laughter spilling from her lips. In that moment, Tom decided to let the doubts fade just a little longer. Time blurred as they danced, each twirl and leap etching memories into their hearts, filling the room with warmth. This was their rhythm, and despite the uncertainty that loomed outside, inside, they found their peace. But the tranquility didn't last. The familiar buzz of Tom's phone broke the moment, a reminder that reality was waiting. He glanced at the screen, an unknown number. A heavy weight settled in his stomach. "Just a second, Em, I need to check this." "Okay," she chirped, still spinning, oblivious to her dad's growing tension. Tom answered the call, his breath catching as a gravelly voice spoke on the other end. "Tom, it's me, Mark. I need to meet with you. Something's come up regarding that opportunity." Tom's pulse quickened. "What is going on?" "It's complicated. Can you meet me tonight?" "Tonight?" His mind raced. "What about Emily?" "Tom, this could change everything." The gravity of those words made his heart skip. Could he really juggle what lay ahead? When he hung up, he looked at Emily, who was still beaming, but that smile felt like a warning. Would he pull her away from their simple joy? What if this was the start of something good or bad? "Hey, Em," he said softly, kneeling to her level. "I need to talk to Mark tonight. It might take a while." "I'll be okay, Dad. Can we keep dancing a little bit longer before you go?" With tears pricking at the corners of his eyes, Tom nodded, his heart both aching and full. They danced again, lost in the magic of the moment. But as he spun her around, he knew he was about to step toward an uncertain future, one where everything could change. How would he tread the line between ambition and fatherhood? As the last notes faded and silence settled, he found himself standing on the precipice of decision once more, holding on to Emily's little hand. Tonight's meeting would bring answers, but at what cost? Would the dance continue, or was it time to step into the unknown? The music faded, leaving a haunting silence that seemed to echo in Tom's chest. He shared one last smile with Emily, trying to etch this perfect moment into his memory. "All right, Em, how about a quick snack before I go? You know, the kind we can whip up together? What about pancakes?" she suggested, her voice brightening suddenly. Tom chuckled softly. How about a simpler version? Just toast and some fruit, okay? She nodded, her enthusiasm returning. They quickly gathered their supplies, Emily carefully spreading peanut butter over a slice of toasted bread, her small fingers focused like a chef at work. As Tom watched her, his heart swelled with pride. She was so much more than he often realized, a bundle of creativity and determination. Dad, can I put the strawberries on? She asked, pointing to the bowl of sliced fruit. Of course. Only if you promise to make them look pretty. Pretty is my middle name, she declared with a laugh, and he couldn't help but reflect on how much he loved her little quirks. While Emily arranged the strawberries, Tom glanced at the clock, anxiety creeping back in. Every tick felt magnified, reminding him just how tight time was. He thought of Mark's voice, the urgency in his tone. It clawed at his insides. Hey, Em, can we talk about something? He ventured, taking a seat across from her. She tilted her head, her hands paused mid-creation. What is it, Dad? Tom took a deep breath, considering his words. You know how I have that meeting tonight? The one I told you about? Yeah, the one about the opportunity? She replied, her brow furrowing slightly. Right. Well, it's really important to me. But I also want to make sure I'm here for you. Do you think? Would you feel okay if I was gone for a little while? An unexpected seriousness settled on her tiny face. Is it the kind of important where I want to see you for a long time? No, nothing like that. He rushed to reassure her, kneeling beside her chair. I'll always be here. It's just a meeting, and I promise to come back as soon as I can. She regarded him with those big brown eyes, studying him as if she could read his thoughts. But what if the meeting is really good and you get super busy? The question stung a little. She was smart, too clever for her own good. I won't let that happen. You know how much I love our time together. Okay, Dad. She finally smiled again, but there was a shadow of doubt lingering around her lips. But promise me if it gets hard to come back, you will still try really hard? I promise, he said, reaching for her hand and squeezing it gently. No matter what happens tonight, you'll always come first. Emily beamed, her innocence fading the heaviness of his heart temporarily, but Tom still felt the storm brewing beneath the surface. After they finished their snack, he looked out the window, the fading sunlight tinged with a sense of finality. Emily, I have to go, he finally said, knowing every moment was precious. Can we dance again when you get back? Tom swallowed hard, forcing back the lump in his throat. Absolutely. It'll be our special welcome home dance. She giggled, letting the cheerful sound fill the kitchen one last time. As Tom stood to leave, he picked up his phone, staring at the missed call from Mark again. Uncertainty gripped him, turning his muscles into lead. At the door, he turned back to Emily, finding her watching him with a mix of hope and worry. Remember, I won't be long, he said, his voice steadier than he felt. I'll keep the dance floor warm for you, she declared, a spark of mischief in her eyes. With that, Tom stepped outside, uncertainty clashing with determination. Would he be able to balance ambition with his role as a father? As he drove toward the meeting, a question gnawed at him. Would he come back with answers? Or would he leave behind something even more precious than opportunity? Tonight would reveal the truth, and with it, possibly reshape their world forever. Would the dance continue? The car hummed softly under Tom as he navigated the winding roads, streetlights casting fleeting shadows on the windshield. Each turn pulled him further away from home and deeper into a whirlpool of anxiety and determination. The meeting loomed large in his mind, a sense of purpose battling against the tug of home and Emily's sweet voice. He flicked a glance at the radio, but the usual background music seemed hollow, drowned out by the pounding of his heart. The city was alive outside, busy sidewalks, people rushing by, laughter echoing in the air. How could everything seem so vibrant when he felt so fractured inside? Tom gripped the steering wheel tight, replaying his conversation with Emily. Her innocent concerns were like weighty stones lodged in his chest. How could he possibly explain ambition to a child who just wanted her father, who believed he would always be there for her? Arriving at the office building wasn't marked by fanfare. Just the usual cool glass and steel that blended into the darkening sky. As he parked, marked signs of wealth and power surrounded him, and it struck him like a punch. This was more than a meeting. It was a crossroads, a test of loyalty between his dreams and his daughter. He stepped out of the car, uncertainty clinging to him like the evening mist. As he made his way inside, sharp, muted conversations buzzed around him. Colleagues he had known for years greeted him with pleasantries, but their smiles felt like daggers, hinting at the competition that lay ahead. Tom entered the large conference room, the long table lined with faces that mirrored the importance of the meeting. Mark, his mentor and the one who had pushed him to take the plunge, stood at the front, ready to dive into the discussion. Tom's heart raced. Would this be his moment? As the meeting unfolded, ideas mingled with statistics and jargon that felt almost foreign to him at times. He contributed when he could, his voice steady, but his mind kept flashing back to Emily, the way she had beamed when they cooked together, the way her laughter filled the silence. Then came the moment of the pitch, a pivotal presentation designed to showcase the new direction the company wanted to take. Mark called for volunteers to lead the discussion, and without thinking, Tom's hand shot up. The room fell silent. He was surprised, caught off guard by his own need to prove himself both to his colleagues and to Emily back home. As he spoke, his passion seeped through the words. The ideas flowed, fueled by the memory of dancing with Emily and the promise of making it back for her. He caught glimpses of nods around the table, a shift in energy that felt electric. For the first time, he truly felt like he belonged here, where dreams clashed with reality. When Tom finished, a wave of applause washed over him, and for a heartbeat, the room felt like home. But just as quickly, doubt clawed its way back in. He glanced at the clock, dread pooling in his stomach. Hours had slipped by, but he couldn't shake off the worry that had begun with Emily's question. Could he really balance it all? Had he just stepped too far into the world of ambition, risking everything that mattered most to him? As he made his way out of the conference room, the reality of time hit him hard. He needed to be home to hold Emily and reassure her. Would she understand if he was late? Would she believe his promises? The drive back felt impossibly long, his heart racing with thoughts of what might have changed during his absence. Panic danced at the edges of his thoughts. What if the night hadn't gone as planned? What if she was waiting, disappointed? Pulling into the driveway, Tom's stomach tightened. The house sat dark, and the stillness in the air pressed against him, a stark contrast to the warmth he had left behind. Stepping out of the car, all he could think of was the welcome home dance they had promised. But as he unlocked the door, dread crept back in. Would she be there waiting for him, or would the shadows of his choices linger like a ghost, haunting both their hearts? As the door opened, silence welcomed him. Had he danced too close to ambition's flame? He took a step inside, fueled by the hope that they could still find their rhythm together. The house seemed to breathe around him, a heavy silence settling in as Tom stepped inside. He closed the door gently, as if the sound of it clicking shut would shatter whatever fragile hope he carried. The darkness felt oppressive, suffocating, as he fumbled for the light switch. When the warm light flickered on, he found the living room just as he had left it, pillows on the couch slightly askew. A half-finished puzzle sprawled across the coffee table. But there was no Emily. A tight knot coiled within him, squeezing hard at his heart. Had he miscalculated? Did his ambition have to come at such a steep price? He wandered through the familiar spaces of their home, searching for signs of life. Emily? He called softly, his voice echoing against the walls. No answer. Panic began to swell again, and he backtracked to the kitchen. It was still, the lingering scent of the dinner they never had filled the air. His phone vibrated on the counter, the sound slicing through the quiet. He snatched it, hoping it would be a text from her, a simple "I'm okay." But it was just a notification from work, the weight of it feeling like betrayal. He tossed the phone back onto the counter and continued searching. Each step felt heavier, each breath more labored. Maybe she was just in her room? Surely she'd fallen asleep waiting for him. The thought sent a jolt of hope through him, and he made his way down the hallway, his feet barely making a sound against the floor. As he pushed open her door, the soft glow from a nightlight spilled into the dark. But the room was empty. The bed wasn't touched, and her favorite stuffed animal lay perfectly perched on the pillow, waiting for her to come home. It was all slipping through his fingers. This was more than just forgetting to pick her up. This was a failure of consequence. The dance they had planned, the laughter he wished to hold close, all extinguished in a moment of ambition. A whisper of doubt plagued him. Could he really provide for both his dreams and the delicate world they had built together? When he turned to leave her room, he noticed a note pinned to the doorframe. His heart raced as he reached for it, trembling slightly as he read her childish scrawl. Dad, I went to Grandma's. Love you. Emily. Relief flooded through him, chasing away the cobwebs of worry. It was a comfort, but also a stark reminder of the reality he faced, the swift changes that could pull them apart without a moment's notice. She might be safe and sound now, but would she always understand him? Would she forgive the times he wasn't there, chasing dreams that felt alien to her little heart? Tom took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift just a bit. He closed his eyes, imagining her at Grandma's, laughing, spinning in a circle in the living room, full of joy. He missed her desperately already. And the realization hit him all at once. He didn't want his career to build a wall between them. He wanted to include her in every part of his life, not just call her home when it suited him. As he stepped back into the living room, he felt a spark of determination light within him. He had work to do, but not the kind that pulled him away. This time, it would be work that brought them closer. The phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Mark, asking if Tom was ready for the next steps in the proposal. Tom glanced back at the darkness of the hallway, the emptiness where Emily should have been, then looked at the glowing screen before him. What if he could change how he approached this opportunity? What if he could redefine success to include Emily instead of pushing her aside? He took a moment to think, the gears of his mind turning. Just when doubts began to creep back in, an idea sparked. What if ambition didn't mean exclusion? What if he brought his two worlds together, finding a way to merge them? The clarity was exhilarating. A plan was forming, one that would not only keep his dreams alive, but also strengthen the bond with his daughter. But how? With a renewed sense of purpose, he grabbed a notepad from the kitchen table and set to work. Little did he know, what he was about to create would lead him to an unexpected revelation about family, love, and happiness that awaited just by opening his heart. Would he be ready for it when it came? Tom worked through the night, pouring his heart onto the pages. Ideas started flowing like water from a gushing faucet. He sketched designs, wrote down plans, and imagined a business that enriched not just his pocket, but also his family life. The hours passed unnoticed as he crafted a vision that put Emily at its core. Each line he wrote, each concept he imagined was a step toward a life he longed for, a life that didn't just belong to him alone, but could embrace Emily, too. Morning light broke through the window, spilling golden rays across the room. Tom looked up, bleary-eyed but exhilarated. He had clarity, a purpose he could shape together with his daughter. Before he rushed off to meet Mark, he thought of Emily. How would she react to this change? He gathered the sketches and ideas he had written, ready to share them with her. He wanted her to see that her dad could chase dreams driven by family, that he could build something lasting and beautiful right alongside her. On the way to Grandma's house, a sense of hope enveloped Tom, eclipsing his anxiety. He wanted to show her that it was possible to reach for the stars together, not at the expense of their bond, but because of it. As he pulled into the driveway, familiar emotions swirled within him. He walked up to the door, heart pounding, and knocked lightly. When the door swung open, there was Emily, her face lighting up in a bright smile that melted all the worries from the night before. "Dad," she squealed, throwing herself into his arms. The warmth of her embrace filled him with both tenderness and resolve. "I missed you so much." "I missed you too, sweetheart. I have an exciting idea I want to share with you." He knelt, her excitement radiating around them. "An idea?" Emily's eyes sparkled with curiosity as they settled down on the couch. Tom took a deep breath, holding her small hands tightly in his. "What if I told you that I want to start a business together? One that can bring us joy and help others, too?" Her eyes widened, and she leaned in closer. "A business with me?" "Yes. We can create fun, family-focused events in our community, dances, workshops, and more. We'll make sure every family feels welcome. I want to do this together, so you can always be part of what I'm doing." Emily beamed, her excitement replacing any remnants of worry. "Like a dance party I can invite my friends to?" "Exactly. With delicious snacks, games, and all the fun we can think of," Tom said, his heart swelling. "Can we dance at them?" she asked, her smile wide and heartfelt. "Every single one, I promise." With that, an idea sparked between them, one that not only held the promise of a future, but also deepened their bond. As they sat together, sketching their shared vision, laughter spilled into the room, echoing the new direction of their lives. Every movement became an extension of their partnership. Every idea stitched another thread into their fabric of family. Later that day, when Tom finally met Mark, there was a change in him. He stood tall and confident, armed with the collaborative plan he had created with Emily. Before diving into his proposal, he shared his vision with Mark. "Mark, I've been thinking about what success really means to me. It's not just about the job, it's about building something that can inspire families like mine." Mark listened, eyes narrowing with curiosity, as Tom explained the blend of entrepreneurship and family values he envisioned. By the end of the meeting, Mark was taken aback, a filled heart blooming in the face of Tom's insight. "You know, this could be something great. A viral idea. Families will connect at your events. You might be onto something huge." Euphoria washed over Tom. It felt like he was standing at the starting point of a new journey, spreading his wings. Not only had he reclaimed his ambition, but he also envisioned a future entwined with Emily's laughter and joy. Returning home, he couldn't wait to share all of this with her. He held the sketches tightly against his chest, imagining the dance they would share as they launched their first event. Together, when he opened the door, Emily was waiting eagerly, her excitement bubbling over. "You have to tell me, did it go well?" she asked, her eyes reflecting all the hope a child could have. Tom knelt down, pulling her into a tight hug. "It went better than I could have imagined. You and I are going to create wonderful memories together." A twinkle lit up Emily's face. "Can we have the first dance today?" "Absolutely. Let us start right now." He grinned, pushing aside all his fears at that moment. As the music filled their home, Tom couldn't help but feel grateful. They swayed together, laughter ringing, hearts thriving in tandem. He finally realized that ambition and family were not at odds. They were connected by the love shared in every step, every giggle, and every dance move. Together, they would create something that represented all their dreams. As the day unfolded, Tom knew this was just the beginning. He felt empowered, ready to face the future, as long as they danced together. Now in this shared journey, they both could pave incredible paths, proving that the most vital parts of life could be created together. So turn to those you love and dance with them fiercely, for in every moment spent together, we find our greatest rhythm, and in every heartbeat, there lies an opportunity to shape our dreams. Now, everyone, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now to catch these exclusive stories that can transform your life. Leave a like to fuel the algorithm with power. Comment below your thoughts and feelings on this heartwarming ending. And don't wait, not even one more second. Share this journey with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. Show your support, because only true fans understand its importance.